Imagine your business never misses a call and books appointments for you 24/7, even when you're off the clock. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down for you step by step how I built a no-code voice AI agent specifically designed to boost appointment bookings and increase revenue for home service businesses. Managing inbound calls is essential for home service businesses, but there is a big issue. Many of these calls end up being dead ends as they end up going unanswered, mainly because of busy periods or there's no one else to answer. Inefficient communication is costing home service businesses thousands of dollars and valuable leads. With customer expectations at an all-time high, it's getting harder and harder for business owners to meet their demands, especially with the limited pool of resources. AI voice agents can answer calls instantly, drastically reducing the number of missed leads and also providing a quick and professional response to the callers. But how can you get AI agents to do all of this? In this video, I'm going to be breaking that down for you step by step. Let's get right into it. This solution works for all different types of home service businesses. A few examples include plumbing, electricians, lawn mowing, roofing, and many more. Essentially any business that relies on customers calling them and getting an appointment booked for their staff to visit them and perform those services. In this specific example, I've built this AI voice agent system for a plumbing company, and let's have a look at how it works. Starting off with, you'll get your customer calling the business. Normally, this sort of inbound call would be handled by a receptionist or a service representative agent. In this case, we'll have our voice agent answering the call. The voice agent will then greet the customer and ask them how they can help. From here, if the customer has any specific questions that they might want to ask the agent will be able to answer those sort of questions from its custom knowledge base. This would include any questions on the services that are offered or what are the opening times or any of the other frequently asked questions a customer may have. The agent will also ask the customer if they can help them out with a specific plumbing issue. And this is the flow where the agent will be able to help them book in an appointment. So if the customer answers positively saying they do need help with the plumbing issue, the agent will then ask them to check if they fall within the service area coverage. And this is a very important function to have for this sort of agent is most of the times these businesses get calls from different people. If the customers are too far out from their service area, it might just take their staff too long to get there, or it might just not be worth it for their staff to go and visit. The agent will ask the customer their postcode, and depending on their postcode, the agent will then check, does the customer live within the business service area? If they do, then they'll be able to help them out further. If the customer does not, the agent will be able to then inform them they're not part of the area for within the service and let them know that unfortunately they won't be able to help out. If the answer is yes, that they do fall within the customer service area, then the agent will proceed to understand what the plumbing issue is that they're dealing with and then work with them to find a day and time that works both for them and also the plumbing staff. And then finally, it will book the call in and send them an email confirmation. And in this email confirmation, it will have the plumbing issue, it'll have the time and the date, and both the plumber and the customer will have a copy of this record. So this is the overall flow, but how does the AI actually validate the caller's location and move on to booking an appointment? Let's have a look at all of that in a bit more detail. Now we're going to have a look at the system prompt for this AI voice agent system, which is arguably one of the most important parts of the agent. And here I'm going to take some time to take you through the way I've constructed this prompt and highlight to you some of the more important aspects in order to make this agent work. We've got the welcome message here where it says, "Hi, I'm Leo from Plumbing Victoria. How can I assist you?" So this agent is going to be an inbound agent for a plumbing company called Plumbing Victoria. So the first part of the agent is its identity. And I always like to set up this section, which gives it a bit of context in terms of who the agent is. The next part is also quite important in terms of the style of the agent. Here you mention how the agent will actually interact with the customers that are calling. So here it's important to specify that the customers can't actually see the agent and to be careful of their mood and the context of their questions. Make sure that you're always listening to the customers' questions and reassure them and make sure that you answer with a polite and professional tone. Also to make sure that your pacing is also moderate and consistent so the customers are able to follow what you're saying. The next part is probably one of the most important parts of the prompt, and that is the task section. So here you're going to be giving a breakdown of what is it that the agent is actually going to be doing. So here in this case, the agent has two main tasks that it has to accomplish and follow. The first one is answering questions that the users may have in terms of Plumbing Victoria or any of the services that they offer or any of the frequently asked questions. And the second one is booking that plumbing appointment with the company. So starting off with the first one, we've got a section here for answering questions, and we just briefly describe what is it that the agent has to do. So the agent has to answer any questions the customer may have. We've also said that we've provided it a knowledge base from which it can draw out information and answer any questions. And this is just giving it a bit of context in terms of the knowledge base. So if we scroll to the right here, we've got a knowledge base section where you can click the drop down, select a new file and add in the knowledge base. I've already prepared a knowledge base, which contains any of the frequently asked questions. Also, what are the services that Plumbing Victoria offers, opening times, that sort of information. So you can do the same and add that information. You can just click to add a new file and then select it for your caller. Next, we've got the other main task, which is booking the plumbing appointment itself. We're going to give it a hint in terms of understanding how to actually go about booking that call and that appointment, and a bit of context. So if the customer asks to book in an appointment or mentions that they have a plumbing issue, you can then let the customer know that they can book in an appointment. And we've just outlined a few steps in terms of how it needs to go about booking that appointment. Firstly, the agent will let the customer know that it needs to confirm if their house falls within the service area, and will ask them for that postcode. So using that postcode, it will then trigger the check service area tool. This tool is going to be taking that postcode in and then running a few checks in the background using Google's distance matrix API, and then return a value saying if the postcode is within that service. And later on in the video, I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to implement that API. It's fairly simple. Then depending on the response that we get from the check service API tool, if the answer is false, then we let the customer know that they do not fall within the area, and unfortunately you won't be able to help them out. If the answer is true, then you can let the customer know that you can help them out as they're within the service area, and ask them if they'd like to organize a plumber to visit. So this is the first part of the flow done, where we've checked and validated the customer. Now we go to the important part, which is actually booking in the plumbing appointment. So for that, we've got another tool that we've constructed. Before that, the agent will just ask them to confirm what is the plumbing issue that they're facing. It will also ask them for their home address, and it will just play back the home address to confirm if that is correct. Because if the agent captures the wrong home address, then the plumber won't actually be able to visit their home and help them out with the appointment. So after that, it will just take their email, play the email back to the customer just to confirm if that's the right email. It will then ask them for the date and the time to make sure that they can come and visit at a time that works both for the plumber and for the customer themselves. So after it's done collecting all of this information, it will then take all of that information and then trigger the book appointment tool. So the book appointment tool takes all of this information and then sends it off to the server to check the calendar based on the times that the customer has provided. Based on the responses that we get from the tool, if it's confirmed, the agent will let the customer know, hey, your appointment has been booked in. We'll send you an email with all of the details attached, and then you'll have a plumber come at the time that you've requested. If the response is not available, it will then work with the customer to select a time that works best for both of them, for the customer and the plumber. And then it will follow the same flow in terms of letting them know then appointment has been booked. And I'll also be covering step by step how to build this book appointment tool a bit later in the video. But first, I thought it's important to show you the structure of the prompt and how we're going to set up the logic so that the agent actually understands exactly what to do in each situation. Lastly, I just like to always add a notes section at the end. And here it just gives the agent a bit of context in terms of what else does it need to do in order to facilitate this call. And here we've just got a small note where it says, your role is very crucial in supporting Plumbing Victoria, and let's make every interaction count. And this is just meant to be like a small statement of encouragement for the agent, as I've noticed that if you often add these sort of statements, the agent is likely to perform a little bit better. So in terms of the model that we're using here, we're using the 4.0 cluster. So we've got a choice between Mini, Turbo, and 4. 3.5 and 4 are outdated, so I'd suggest you to not use them. But if we have a look here, the main difference between 4.0 and 4.0 Mini is just 2 cents per minute. So I don't think that's a huge difference. But in terms of the interpretation of the agent and the responses that it will provide and its ability to invoke the tools, greatly increases with the 4.0 model. So I personally think it's really worth paying those extra 2 cents to get this agent working the way you need to. Now that you've seen how this agent has been set up in terms of its prompt, let's dive in and have a look at how to set up the tools. Before booking an appointment, it's crucial to validate if the customer is within the service area or not. For that, we've created a new tool here, check service area. And the purpose of this tool is to take the postcode and see if the customer falls within the service area. And the response that it will return is a true or a false. The most important aspects when you're creating tools in Vappy is to make sure you give it a name that makes sense to you and is consistent, so that later on, when you're going through all of your tools or the list of tools, it's very easy to see. And one of the things that I do like about Vappy is a tool is not attached to a specific agent. A tool sits by itself. So if you're building agents in the future which require that specific functionality, you can just select that tool for that agent, which makes it really easy to build different types of agents, which are agnostic of the tools that they use. The next aspect that is equally important here is the tool description. Now, you want to make sure that the description that you put here is as concise and as accurate for the purpose of the tool here. So I've put in the description, this tool will take the postcode of the customer, check to see if the customer falls within the service area, and then the tool will return a true or a false. And what you want to be mindful when you're writing the description of the tool is it should be in the context of what the user would ask for, or the context that the agent will interpret it in. Lastly, you've got the variables that we'll be using for this tool. In this case, it's very simple. We just have a postcode variable. We'll create a new property. Here, you can give it like a property name. Here it's just called postcode, and you can also use it to describe the property. I haven't done that in this case, as the description is fairly straightforward. But if you have a tool that's a bit more complicated, you can describe the property itself. Once you've got that, that's the first half of the tool itself, which I like to think of this as like the interface in terms of how Vappy understands what are the variables that you need to pass into this tool. To build out this tool, we're going to go into make, and this is where we've built in the logic and the processing for the check service area tool. So here we start off with the webhook, which will be triggered from Vappy. You can just create a new webhook and then provide the URL of this webhook into Vappy. So if you've created a new one, you can just copy this to your address. And if you go back to the tool dashboard, if you click on integration, and that's where you would be putting in your make.com server URL. So the next module that we're going to be looking at is the Google Maps one, and specifically the distance matrix. So what this module does is it takes two input values, one which is your origin and the other one which is your destination, and it works out the difference between both of those in terms of time or distance. And this is how we're going to be calculating if the customer's house falls within the service area. Here for my origin location for my business, I've put in a postcode of 3000. So this is just the postcode for Melbourne CBD, which is what we're going to use for this example. And then for my destination, I'm going to take the value that comes from the webhook itself. And this is the value that will be provided by the customer. And the way I've set this up and the format is I've got the postcode, comma, and then just AU. So then this just tells the Google Maps API whereabouts in the world it is. You don't need to give it any more information about the postcodes because it is smart enough to understand based on the postcode that you've provided and the country where exactly it is you're talking about. One last thing is in terms of the travel mode, you just want to do driving. One of the other key things you need to look out for is how to actually set up this connection to the API. If you click on the online help button here, it will give you a step-by-step walk down of how you actually need to set up this API, because you can't actually do it through Make. You need to create a new Google project on the account. I'm not going to do the steps in this video. Might cover it in a later video, but for the sake of this example, if you click this link here, it will give you all of the steps that you need to take. Once you've done that, we've got a Open API completions request here. So the purpose of this one is to take the output that we've gotten from the distance matrix API and then just do a comparison. We're going to be sending a request to ChatGPT, and we're just going to tell it that, you're comparing the distance. If the distance that we get from the output of the distance matrix, if it's greater than 50 kilometers, just to output a false message. Otherwise, if the distance is less than 50 kilometers, the output is true. And this is just to do a quick comparison of what comes out. As always, you want to be very clear in terms of what the output you're looking for. I always like to put the output should only be a true or a false, or, you know, whatever that you're looking to get, because sometimes it will provide a long description in terms of this is how I got my answer. We don't want any of that. We just want a one-word answer. And then finally, you know, do not be any other responses or explanations. Token max count 500. It's not going to use 500 tokens, but it's just good to put a maximum amount so your answer and your thinking processes are not cut off. And in terms of the model, we're just using the 4.0 mini model for, it's the best model. It's a very simple query and it's the best bang for your buck. And then lastly, we've got a response webhook. So this is going to respond, this is going to send a response back to VAPI in terms of what the output is. So if we have a look here, we've just got a status code. So you always need to put a status code for your return. Generally 200 is the status code for a successful response. You can have 200, 201, 202, whatever you want. So looking at the body here, we need to send the results back. VAPI requires the results to be sent back in a very specific format. So this is a little JSON object that we have here where you've got results and you need to provide the tool call ID and you need to provide back the result. So the tool call ID we get from the incoming webhook that we have here, and you can just select. So if I was to just quickly show you how to actually get this value here, you've got the custom webhook here. So this is what's coming in. You need to go tool calls, and here the ID section here, that's going to be your call ID. So you just need to hit on that. And in terms of the results itself, this result is going to be what comes from our ChatGPT completions API. Now that we've done the check customer service area tool, we're now going to have a look at the book appointment tool, which is going to work with the customer to book an appointment. Let's now have a look at the book appointment tool. So similar to the tool before, we've got a tool name and we've got the tool description. Here again, I've been very clear to mention what it is that the tool does. So it's going to collect a whole bunch of information in terms of your plumbing issue, address, email address, appointment date, and time. Then we've got a whole bunch of properties here. A little bit different to before. I've got the names of the properties itself, the variables that we're going to be using. But here, because we've got a whole different bunch of variables, I've been careful to add in the exact name and the description of the variable in terms of what is the information that we're collecting. So as you can see here, for the email address, I've given it a small description. Then we've got the plumbing issue, the appointment date, the appointment time, and then the full home address. And all of these small descriptions are going to give the agent more context when it's collecting the information. And so once the agent has collected the information, these descriptions allow it to match it up to the right variable, as we don't want the agent associating, I don't know, for example, the appointment date to the appointment time and vice versa, because otherwise that's going to cause a whole lot of issues later on when we're doing the tool build. To build out this tool, we're back in make.com and we've got another flow that's set up here. So we've got another webhook that we start off with. And then straight off the bat, we've got this OpenAI module. So using this, we're going to feed it some of the information that comes in from the webhook. And here the objective is to convert the date and the time into a single date time string. Because I've asked for separate date and separate time variables in the previous in VAPI, it's going to have both of those things that's different. We just want to combine it and make it into one format. As the inputs I've defined the date and the time as the inputs that are coming in. I've also got this year value. What I'm doing there is just using the format date function, and based on what the time is at the moment, just getting the year as well. Because what I've noticed sometimes, what ChatGPT does is if you give it all this information, if I gave it the date and the time and just say, hey, give me a string that is in the following output, as you see here, it gets the year wrong, and sometimes it will just do the previous year, and obviously we don't want that, as that's going to screw up the whole appointment booking. So then we tell it this is the example of the format that I wanted out to do the conversion, and just a few notes saying I only want the output, and don't give me any explanations. I'm using the 4.0 model again here, as I think this is more than enough to give you an output, and it's smart enough to do this calculation. The next, we've got a Google Calendar module. So using this module, we're gonna check the busy and the available times. So you have to set up a connection to your Google Calendar. You have to give it a minimum time. So this is going to be the start of your appointment. So This is the time, this is the result of the Open API query that we've got as we've we've made it into a date time string. And the appointment booking is going to be for 30 minutes as we're going to have the plumber visit and see, help them out with whatever it is that we need. In reality, you can make this as long or as short as possible. For the sake of this example, I've just chosen 30 minutes. So to add that, you just do like the add minutes function. You take your value from the ChatGPT result and just add 30 minutes to it. And you've got to attach a calendar ID and an email over here. So we're just going to hit OK on that. From here, we've got a router because depending on what the response is, if we get busy or free, it's going to go down two different pathways. I'm just going to quickly take some time to show you how I've set up the conditionals and how it actually does the routing. So we click on this little shape here that opens up the filter. And what we're doing is the condition that we're checking for free is we're just going to take this array here. So if we click on there and look at my email, this array here is always populated if if there's an overlapping time. So if I asked for 10 a.m. on a Monday and this array comes back with 10 a.m., we know that that time in the calendar is busy. So the condition that we're checking here is if the array length is equal to 0, that means that the array is empty. That time is free to be booking. So then that's how it will send you down the free pathway. And looking at the condition for the busy period, similar, we look at that same array. And this time the condition that we check for, if the array length is greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, then obviously the array has a specific time there for the time that we've asked for. And that means it's busy and it can send a response back. It can send a response back to the user saying it's not available and you need to find another time. And actually, I think I just need to correct that. I'm going to make this status 202 as for the previous. I'm going to make this 201 just so we differentiate it from the first one. Going back to the free branch, we click on the Google Calendar, and this is where we're actually setting up the invite itself, and we're creating an event. I want to create an event in detail. I've got my calendar ID and my email. I'm going to give it an event name. Start date is the time that we get from the ChatGPT API. You can either put the end date or you can do duration. I just find it easier to do the duration of 30 minutes. Then you give it a description in terms of what we're putting here, putting for the event. So I've just included the plumbing issue and the location. So the location is the full home address that the agent has collected from the user. We put in the email addresses of where we want to send it to. And then I've also got an email address for the plumber, which that's me in this case. And one thing that you want to be very careful about is just sending this option here, send notifications about the event creation, and you want to send it to all guests. If you don't actually do this, no one will receive an email, and then there's actually no point in doing all of this flow because the appointment would not be booked. So that's a very important option to select. Once you've done that, you can just hit OK. And then the webhook here, I think I'm going to make this 200 as I've made the other one 201. And the webhook here, similar, we've got the same JSON object here. In terms of the results, you go select the tool call ID, which you can get from the webhook over here. And for this pathway, we've got the result as confirmed. For the other pathway, as you can see, you've got the result as not available. And then this is then sent back to the agent. And based on the response you get from the tool, it can understand if the appointment has been set or if the appointment is not set. And then it can work with the user to find another alternative date and time. I'm now going to cover a demo of the system just to show you how it works and how the agent is able to book an appointment with me for my plumbing issue. So I'm just going to give them a call right now.
Hi there, I'm Leo from Plumbing Victoria. How can I assist you today?
Hey Leo, I've got a plumbing issue. Can you help me out with that?
Absolutely, I can help you with that. Could you please provide me with your postcode so I can check if your house falls within our service area?
Yeah, sure. It's 3142.
Just a sec. Great news. Your postcode is within our service area. Would you like to go ahead and organise a plumber to come visit?
Yeah, that'd be great, mate.
Great. What plumbing issue are you experiencing?
My tap has been leaking for the last 2 weeks, and I've tried a few things, but still not working.
Got it. A leaky tap can be quite annoying. Could you please provide me with your full home address, including the building, house number, street name, and suburb?
Yeah, sure. So my street address is 1200 House Road, and my
Yep.
suburb is Toorak.
Thank you for that. Just to confirm, your address is 1200 House Road, Thirac. Is that correct?
The suburb was Toorak.
Thank you for that. Just to confirm, your address is 1200 House Road, Toorak. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Next, can I have your email address to schedule the appointment?
Yeah, sure. So it's yash.chaubal at Clever Convos. So it's CLEVERCONVES.com.
Thank you. Just to confirm, your email address is yash.chaubal at cleverconvos.com.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
perfect, mate. You got that right.
Great. When would you like to schedule the plumber to come visit? Could you please provide a date and time that works for you?
Sure. Can we please do tomorrow at 11 a.m.?
One moment. Your appointment is confirmed. A plumber will visit your home at 1200 House Road, Toorak, tomorrow at 11 a.m. I've also sent you a confirmation email. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
Could you just quickly tell me what other services that you guys cover apart from just, fixing leaky taps?
Sure. We provide a wide range of residential plumbing services, including leaky faucet and pipe repair, toilet repair and replacement, water heater services, installation maintenance and repair, drain cleaning, pipe installation and repairs, shower and bath plumbing, emergency plumbing. Is there anything specific you need help with?
No, that's it. It was just curious, but next time I've got an issue, I'll give you a call back. Thanks for that.
I'm glad I could help. Feel free to reach out if you have any more questions or need assistance in the future. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye. As you can see here, we've got the plumbing appointment confirmed on the calendar for tomorrow at 11 a.m. and it's right there. So if I was to hit the appointment, we've got like all of the details in there and the email addresses. So this is something that your customers will also get along with the plumbing agent and the person that you're sending out into the field. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with more AI implementation builds and AI news. Leave me a thumbs up and a comment below if you'd like to see, and if you have any other ideas on different solutions that you'd like to see, or if you'd like me to cover a specific topic. That really helps us out with the algorithm and just shows us support. If you want to check out a really cool AI use case, feel free to check out this video here where I've built an AI agent which integrates into WhatsApp, and you can use it to provide services to your businesses. If you want to learn how to build AI agents from scratch, feel free to check out this video here where I've covered step-by-step how you can build your very first AI agent, and I cover everything from the initial build all the way until deployment. So it's a very easy to follow tutorial for beginners. Make sure you check that out if you're interested in how to build agents. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.